Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the return of controllers and keyboards. Because remember, we used to do podcasts sometimes, and then we
Hey,
stopped.
that was like our bread and butter at the
That
beginning of
was
the
our bread and
channel,
butter.
and our bread
I'm
and butter at the beginning of the Pajodcast.
yeah, for the 5 years before we were on YouTube. Hey,
Yep.
everybody. I'm Kyle
Hey,
Snow. I got Ryan Power
Power.
with me.
Just the two of us. It's a busy life right now. That's one of the reasons why we haven't gotten casts up in a while. Is because it's hard to organize stuff right now. Chris is at a busy point in his life, as is Mr. Schmick. But
Yeah, also doing 10
Kyle,
videos a
Kyle and
week.
I
Takes
wanted
a lot of time.
wanted to get together to talk about the Paris Games Show that uh, is going on. Sony had a press conference.
Yeah. And they told us some stuff about some stuff we knew about, and they told us some stuff about some stuff we did not know about. So we figured we'd talk
Yeah,
about that shit proper.
let's do
Um,
it. Let's
yeah,
let's let's control. Let's keyboard.
yeah.
Apologies for my shit lighting. As you
Yeah.
can probably notice, Kyle is like over there hanging with God, and I'm over here hanging with Al
We're
Pacino.
basically
So
like, no. We're like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, Ryan.
yeah, but I mean, I had to go with Al Pacino because in The Devil's Advocate, he is the devil. So
And his own advocate. Does the devil have a law degree?
no, he's a lawyer. Yeah, well, yes, he runs the law firm. That's like the Keanu Reeves. You've never seen Devil's Advocate?
Never.
No,
Is it good?
you haven't.
No.
Oh, it's a good movie. Keanu Reeves is like it reminds me of Suits a little bit, except like if you were to put like a religious slant on it, because Keanu Reeves is all, hey, I'm a goody two shoes Republican lawyer from from Arkansas or whatever. He's like redneck Texan or whatever, and him and his wife Charlize Theron are like, hey, look, we're gonna win this big case and go to New York, and then he goes to work at this law firm in New York that's run by Al Pacino, and let's just say Al Pacino might be the devil and also Keanu Reeves' father.
Okay, so it's Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Just kidding. That was a that was a troll.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So games
A
happened.
little less action. Sure.
Yeah. So games happened.
Games.
Yeah.
Games are happening at all the time at a rapid pace. Like holy mother of Friday was like this last Friday was a huge release date for a bunch of stuff, and then
Yep.
and now we have Call of Duty and stuff coming out on this Friday, and we have Battlefront coming out soon. It's doesn't stop for nothing. I believe
Oh.
Sony also had a console drop, the Xbox One X.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
maybe
it's been
Xbox One games on Xbox One.
well. No, the Xbox One X is an actual new console. You know
Yes,
that, I'm assuming.
yes, they're
Okay.
like it's like the PS4 Pro.
Um,
It's like the
it's
Xbox One.
better than the Pro. Like the specs are better, but
No, but I mean
yeah.
like in sequence, right? Like it's the same console, but the hardware is better.
I mean, it sort of because it's their third iteration. Keep in mind, because there was the Xbox One, and then there was the Xbox One S, which got rid of the built-in Connect and added some extra storage and some other stuff. And
I
now there's
literally
the
didn't even
X,
know that
which is
existed. But
yeah,
I
exactly. That's all you
also
can buy now. I don't think you buy original Xbox Ones. You just buy the original is now an S. Like they basically just replace the model, and they also stopped producing and making Connects. Like those are dying now. That's
yeah,
actually a thing.
because that was stupid and dumb.
Took long enough, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
I
we don't
was I
want
was
motion
hearing
controls
some
in our
talk on
games.
that. But yeah, Paris game show, Sony press conference.
Yeah.
Let's go through the list. What was announced? Maybe we'll see what we liked. What
Yeah.
kind of I don't know. It was.
So
We'll get there.
in wrestling style, they decided to do a pre-show before the show because that's
Yeah,
a thing that you need. They had like an analyst desk of people, and if I remember correctly
I
from
believe they were
E3,
the
some of the same people.
influencers they're called
Yeah,
nowadays, right?
yeah. I'm just analyst desk, whatever. They talk about the games. They do analysis. They did the pre-show was a fuck ton of VR analysis in
I want to
quotation
say they
marks.
did it now.
Clearly,
Sure. I mean,
like
I don't know. I
clearly,
kind of
those
felt
are
like
like
they were just
stage
going
talking points. Yeah,
that it didn't. It felt like they were there, like the Sony marketing team gave them talking points, and they were just like,
yeah,
"I'm
yeah.
really excited for this game. This
Yeah,
is
it
this
felt
game." And
much
then it
more
was
like
like quick.
Sony employees than
Like
journalists. Yes, I 100% agree.
I don't think the lack of information. It was like a lack of information that was being presented by them, but I think it was pretty boilerplate. Like they would intro something and then run through it, and like pre-press conference, obviously, and
Yeah,
then it would be run through, and then it'd be like, okay, this is this game, and then they would spend more time talking about it while it's on screen. But like, I didn't find that I wasn't really. I don't know.
yeah.
The
I had
the
it on the
pre-show
background
stuff is weird.
while I was playing Mario Odyssey.
Yeah,
Because
that's fair.
man, got to get those multi moons. Yeah. So the pre-show had a fuck ton of VR, which I didn't super document because none of us have VR and we can't play any of it. I'm glad that it's moving in the direction it's moving in.
There's some cool stuff in there.
Oh, sure.
They announced VR-wise, there's a Resident Evil 7 DLC and stuff.
Yeah.
There's more happening with that game. And like it seemed like a lot of the VR was just showing off stuff that's already out. Like they talked about Bridge Crew. Bridge Crew's out. You can get that now, which is a Star Trek VR game. There, like you said, there's a bunch of VR stuff that they showed that a lot of what they were showing was already out. Like I think they were just trying to remind people, hey, we're here for VR. There was a couple of new VR things, but yeah, it wasn't. They dedicated time both on the press conference and the pre-block, so I feel like Sony's just trying to say, we're really in the VR space. This isn't like the Kinect. We're really actually taking this seriously. We have developers working. But I mean,
this is way better. This is the PlayStation move, Ryan.
Nobody's been able to figure out, I think, yet VR to the extremest of degrees, as in the thing that's going to make everyone buy it and everyone play it and yada yada.
Yeah. So, they're working towards it, which I respect, right? Like, you have to go through these steps for them to get there. Maybe we'll be playing VR when we're 40.
You'd think, but you never know. Like it could also be a situation where
it could be
like the Kinect, VR might be better for other things. Like it might just be better for non-games. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm picturing the land where we're all in our, I was gonna say 40s, but I realized that like we're not that far away anymore. In our 50s, and it's just like we just sit in a virtual living room, all of us hanging out from across the country. And it's like, oh hey. Maybe someday.
That's what some people speculate, but I don't know. Like it'd have to be different than me putting a headset on and not being able to see the rest of the real world. Because
I want holograms.
That's a big reason.
I want like the Kingsman.
Well, you need the holodeck. Yeah, the reality is you need the holodeck. That's the only way people.
The holodeck's ideal, but like a nice stepping stone. You saw the first Kingsman movie, right?
No. I saw the scene that everyone talks about.
No, but there's a scene that I'm thinking of that. So they do like this meeting in a big boardroom with Michael Caine and a bunch of people, but most of the people aren't actually there, and they all put on like a specific set of glasses that look like regular glasses, but then they can see everybody else who's at the space sitting at the table. But like it's just Michael Caine and like Taron Egerton's character that are like actually in the room. But they have that's what I was thinking. You put on those glasses, you can still see the real world around you, but then it's like, oh, there's Hollow Ryan sitting over on the couch.
Yeah, that's kind of Microsoft's thing to a degree. AR, augmented reality, but
like not shit. Yeah. Anyways, you know what else is not shit and not VR? Not that all VR is shit, but
the best announcement. You want to cover it? The best announcement that was made, the whole thing, including the press conference.
The sequel to Bat Tech, Spelunky 2.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't expect there to be the word going around is a lot of people didn't expect there to be a sequel to Spelunky. The rumors were that Mothmas, the developers of the original Spelunky, and I believe it was just a guy and another one. It was I believe it was 2 people who developed Spelunky. The rumors were he was working on a space game, that it was collaborative, so he was working with other developers on it. And I was not expecting Spelunky 2 to come because of that. Nobody was talking about his new game other than the space game. Spelunky 2 was not rumored, wasn't on anyone's radar. And then out of nowhere, they're just like, hey, pre-show's about to end, but hold on, here's a game. It's an actual announcement, not just we're going to show you VR or a game that exists. Here you go. And then it was like Spelunky 2. They didn't show any gameplay.
No,
it was more of like a... I mean, there wasn't like... I don't know how much Spelunky played, but Spelunky's not really known for lots of cutscenes. It's not really... It's narrative, but like... It's like light narrative. It's like, hey, you're an adventurer. Hey, you beat the boss, and now there's a bunch of treasure, and here's the credits. Like, in this, the beginning that they showed, it was like, hey, you're the Spelunky guy, and then...
You're old, and you have a kid.
You're old, and then you're implied to be dead or gone. And the kid is, like, looking out longing, as if, like, hey, you're going to be kids now in this one.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. Was it Stranger Things presents Spelunky 2?
Really? Yeah, Spelunky Man's in the Upside Down.
That would be... I mean, you do go to hell at some point. You do fight Yama.
True. You did
original Spelunky.
Beat like everything in the original Spelunky. Like you killed Yama and everything, right?
I probably played like 200 hours of original Spelunky. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
How good is your Bat Tech?
Like the thing about the Bat Tech reference that you're making, it's only half the battle. As in, that's not really the only good way to kill a bat. So
no, but I genuinely found it easier to hit them from behind, like facing the other way, because the whip hand.
It is, but like that's if you're a noob. As in, If all you're ever doing is stopping and waiting for the bat to come to you to hit it, then absolutely, that's the best way to do it. But as you advance from the game, you got to learn to kill them. Like
ABC,
for example, one of the things. No, I'm not talking about always be carrying. That's also a noob rule. Okay, those who play good play fast. You have that bat killed before you're even on the next platform. A lot of the things that'll happen. Let's say I'm here. We're going to give you an example.
Okay.
Here's a bat, right?
I'm going to put you on presenting.
Just real quick. Yeah, this is perfect. Because this is going to go over super well. No, I'm kidding. By the way. Here's a bat. Here's the opening, and here's the other side, right? And I'm up. Most people would just fall and then go fight the bat. But if you rest on the ledge, jump, and then swing as you're falling, you'll hit the bat before it even spawns to attack you. And then you just keep going. That's how you play Spelunky for real, is you kill enemies, you assess threats and kill them while you're moving. And then you just keep going. And that's how you really play. Yes, you can always be carrying. Yes, you can play cautious. But once you start speedrunning, which is to beat the game in 8 minutes, you don't have to fight hell. You just have to beat the game. You start to realize everything you're doing in Spelunky can be done at twice the speed. It literally can. You just need to learn to play effectively at twice the speed. So,
sure.
Yeah, because when you hold down the run button, you go really fast. There are still instances where you do not want to run, but generally speaking, bat tech.
Fundamentals of learning any game.
Bat tech is a fun joke, but I during my legit runs as I started to play, like I haven't played Spelunky in a while, but as I started to play later on, like that was just something I stopped and did for comedical purposes because it wouldn't actually enhance the run I was having. Because it was like I could have killed that bat. Like one of the other things that's effective is if you don't want to waste ropes or bombs, then all the enemies in the game should be considered useful from a jumping perspective. As in, there are lots of opportunities to bounce off enemies to get extra height and make it to places that you would normally need a rope to get to.
Smart.
And I would normally guide bats to where I need them to be and then jump off them to get where I need to be. If it's like, I don't want to waste a rope on this or a bomb on this or whatever, right? Like there are ways to get around pretty much. It depends on obviously the seed you get, but yeah, I don't know what Spelunky 2 is going to be. Like, is it just going to be more Spelunky? Like, what's the tile set? Are you going to be going down still to hell? Like,
I would imagine
it's going to be nuts.
That we will see the core fundamentals of gameplay still in there, but there will be certain adaptations made. So similar to like, if obviously this is complete guesswork. We've seen nothing but a trailer that's like, I would say mostly a story-driven trailer. I would imagine it would do. If you consider Spelunky to be the original Mega Man's, Spelunky 2 to be like a Mega Man X, where it's like, hey, we still got all the things you love about this. Also, here's wall jumping. Not actual wall jumping, obviously, right? But that was the big thing for Mega Man X. Dashing and wall jumping were pretty...
yeah, I'm just saying... I thought you were trying to imply that Spelunky would add wall jumping.
No. I was... Okay. Like, that was...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using it as a part of the analogy.
I don't know when it's coming out. They didn't announce a release date, but yeah.
They told us almost nothing. It was just like, holy... like. I actually didn't take.
They just wanted to confirm that it exists, and that alone is a big deal. That the press conference hadn't even started yet, and I was like, well, that's you're not going to top that. That's literally like I don't think they because they put that at the bottom of the pre-show. I don't think they realize how big of a deal that game is. Like a lot of people, and I count myself among these people. That's not just a good indie. That's up there with Mario. Like that's a game that's one of the best games made. Like top to bottom, like it is so balanced. It is so tight. No, that's a main show game to me. Like that's 100%. Like that to me, that beats everything their whole main show showed.
Sure,
like, and there wasn't even no gameplay. It's just because
what they did.
That's how good. It's like they didn't show gameplay for Spelunky.
No. I'm not saying they did. Here's what they did. They put it at the end of the pre-show as like a no big deal because people who were watching the pre-show got to flip out, and then people were like, well, I'll just tune in for the regular show. They're watching the regular show, and then they flip over to Twitter and like, the fuck's everyone talking? Shit, I should have watched the pre-show. And then
maybe, but
they'll get bigger viewership for future pre-shows. Maybe like my boy Scoops, he'll be watching that.
They do these things every year anyway for multiple. I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like that should have been on the main show. I felt they should have been like, hey, we recognize that this game is as big of a deal as Super Mario World because it is.
To some people for sure.
No, not even to some. Like, dude, the amount of people that continually still play that game, it's like even though it's like 4 years old now.
Yeah, because
it's insane.
It's not like a game where it's like, okay, well now it's done the thing or it gets outdated. Like the mechanics in that game are solid. It's like
it stands the test of time because it's one of the best designed games. Like that's just what it comes. Like the better something is to play, it's just a game that's great to play. Like it's
it's good to play because the concept of it is very simple, right? There's not a ton of different things going on, but it's executed on incredibly well, and it's a challenge that never, you don't like, oh, I have muscle memory, relearn the game forever. Like it's every time.
To a degree, you are relearning something, or you are learning some things, but like if you go away from it, like if I were to sit down and play, I probably wouldn't play at the same level I was for a while until I got back in.
Because it's an execution-based game.
Like the one thing I'm really excited for, like I don't think you were around. Like I think you came to Spelunky a little later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The one thing that I'm really excited for is with the launch of the new one, is there was months going on when Spelunky released where everyone was figuring the game out, and I'm not just talking about like the mechanics. I'm talking about all the hidden stuff that we now know about. I'm talking about, it's not even just the hell runs and what all the doors do and all the hidden stuff. That's only one layer. Like that's only, hey, you could fight a regular boss and then there's hell and there's a second boss. There was the purple squash run that someone did that you could throw it on the Yama if you can carry that all the way to the end, but it's like super hard to do. That kills them in one hit. There's like a bunch of stuff. And like, there's going to be months when the new one comes out where everyone's going to be looking to find the hidden stuff. And even then, I believe there's still some hidden stuff in original Spelunky that people don't even know about. So, yeah.
Yep. So that's.
I'm excited. Spelunky 2, and that was the press conference, right? That was it.
Yeah, that was the whole press
conference. Spelunky 2. Everyone went, shit. Spelunky 2. They did it. They topped themselves, and then everyone left.
Yeah, I think that's
when the press conference starts.
It is when it starts. The transition between pre-show and show had a game that I knew nothing about, and I'm excited about purely based off of developer, and not even for the same reason that everybody else is, because I never played any of the Infamous games. But Sucker Punch,
Sly Cooper.
Yeah, dude. Sly 2 and 3 were my jam growing up.
That's Sucker Punch, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Yeah, Naughty Dog was Jack and Dexter, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Sucker Punch was Sly. And Insomniac was Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, so yeah, that what's it called again? Ghosts of Hinashimana?
Ghosts of the Hinahana. No, Ghosts of Tsushima. And it looked
so
like
that looked like a samurai game, more like it, but I don't know. They weren't like dressed in black. They were wearing like plate mail and riding horses and using katanas. Like I don't know if I'd say that's a ninja.
Well, ninjas and samurai were around the same time. They had certain issues with the
but like tactics-wise, they're completely... Ninjas are cloaked in black, do not fight you up front, break into your house and murder your wife in the middle of the night. Ninjas are the fucking assholes. Samurai are the guard. Like they're
no! Are we gonna have?
Yeah, we're gonna get in this. We're gonna get in this.
Ninjas? Ryan?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Ninjas are awful people. Samurais, though.
Ninjas are the Batman of.
Yeah, but Batman don't murder your wife. Batman don't. He just fights you.
Wait, what? Why do you think ninjas murder?
Dude, I'll always remember this one movie that my dad showed me when I was a kid. There was an action movie on like a Revenge of the Ninja or something. I don't remember exact name, but ninja was in it, and it was about two ninjas, and one ninja was away from being a ninja, and he was living in like Europe, somewhere in Europe with his son. Like he was trying to get away. He was out Asian, but he was trying to get away. And him and his kid were like living, and he married this like art dealer or something. And then his rival ninja broke into his new fancy art house and killed his wife and kid. Like, what are you doing, ninja? So then, of course, he had to bring his ninja back out and ninja versus ninja action. It was pretty campy. It didn't have any notable actors. It's one of those direct to DVD, like, hey, we did a movie. It for its silliness.
And you know what? I think I'm actually convinced, because when I was a kid, I think that my favorite show ever was Teenage Mutant Samurai Turtles. Oh, wait a minute. It wasn't the Samurai Turtles, Ryan. It was the fucking Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed this, but the Foot Clan who they fight are also murdering assholes and ninjas.
No, the Foot
Clan are ninjas. They wear ninja gear.
Look at Shredder's helmet.
Shredder's not a ninja. Shredder doesn't count. Shredder's a superhero. Let's get that straight right off the bat. Because everyone else is a warrior. Even the Ninja Turtles, they're regular warriors. And then Shredder's here with the fucking thing and the thing and the thing. And he's like,
they're not regular, they're mutants.
He's a superhero. He's a supervillain, whatever. He's not a ninja. His followers are ninjas.
Yes, they are.
Literally make it clear that they're ninja. I don't know. Fuck ninjas. Anyway, this game looked okay. I'm trying to remember like specific things that looked like gameplay, but it just looked like action.
Yeah, I literally thought it was a Ninja Gaiden like sequel or remake or something at first, and then they're like, not Ninja Gaiden, also Sucker Punch. So
I'm curious, like, what is the game? As in, like,
So
they showed some narrative, but like, is it open world? Is it narrative? Are you one character? Is it like a character with a name, or is it like Destiny where you build a character and it's like that? Nowadays with games, you have no idea. Like the trailer only showed like narrative stuff and a few glimpses of combat, but it didn't really show like the structure. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what is this game? Am I dropping in? Like, I kind of wish they would have explained or shown. I mean, it was an announcement, so.
Yeah, my dream is that they go the same route that that the later Sly games did, where like they had a really good mixture of those games. Like it was a series of heists, but there was always like a lot of prep going into the heist, and you would have different things from stealth to obviously, you know, Sly's a little bit more goofy and a little more kid friendly, so there'd be like, you know, mini games thrown in there as well. But like you had a wide variety of mechanics employed around the central idea of trying to do something. Usually it was steal a thing or recover a thing or set up something. And you could do something really similar to that with a ninja thing where you stick someone in a level and it's like, you're here until you get your job done. You can do these things in whatever order you choose because you needed these all to set up your central theme. There was like usually like a few different like stages of it where it's like, okay, we're setting up for the we're going to start doing recon and things, and it's like, okay, you do all the missions there. It's like, okay, now we're prepping for the heist, and then you do that, and then it's like, okay, well now we have to go on the heist. But
I would probably speculate that this would probably take more cues from Infamous than it would.
I would assume so because Sly's a 15-year-old game.
Like, but Infamous, like from what, like, and again, like maybe what's the name of this game? I'm gonna Google it.
Ghost of Tsushima, but there's a silent T at the start. Tsushima, but there's a silent T.
Google knew. Google knew.
Google knew. Thanks, Google.
Yeah, Google knew what I was typing in when I put Ghost up. It's like, hey, people are typing this in right now.
Yep.
Okay, so it is open world. That actually is confirmed. Okay. Yeah.
Yep, I'm on board with this.
It is an open world action game set during the feudal period of Japan.
Yep.
And will allow players to see the power of the Mongol Empire firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a samurai, specifically.
Fuck.
It says that yes, I told you. They're wearing armor. Like, ninjas don't wear armor, dude. Ninjas are sneaky.
Yeah, they were cloth.
You must move beyond your samurai traditions to forge a new way of fighting. The way of the ghost.
Like the way of the ninja.
Yeah, except you're the ninja samurai. That's the thing. You're gonna introduce samurai to the hybrid.
Oh my god, it's like
so it will be open world. Okay, so that's intriguing. Like, I'm curious. I bet you it's a slower open world. I bet you you're not like running up walls and shit, like climbing buildings and stuff like in Sly and Infamous. I bet you you're on a horse and like it's feudal Japan, so like it's probably a lot of open world like that is not like
and shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no buildings. It's just rice fields. It's like, welcome to Japan. Do you want to go fishing? There better be a fishing minigame.
We have a minigame for you with our friend Noctis.
And just like Final Fantasy, they're
to take pictures.
Yeah, hey, speaking of, that was a big focus on their VR.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, here's some Ignis stuff.
Looking to catch one in there, Noctis? I want to beat that game anyway, 15. Anyway, yeah, this looked cool.
Like, all right, here's what the VR is going to be. But it's going to be a first-person. It's going to be a first-person.
More when it comes out.
No, it's going to be a first-person game from Ignis's perspective, but the second half of the game, you're blind. And you just have to beat it while you're blind.
That would be ridiculous.
That would be pretty ridiculous.
That would be ridiculous.
And Noctis still makes you drive. So you're just like, fuck. That's what it is. Yeah. So there was some other stuff that happened. There was a game called Concrete Genie that looked like it had some dope paintbrush shit in it, where like you painted things, but the things like you could interact with them.
It seemed like they were alive. Couldn't tell if it was like multiplayer or single player, open world. What was it? But it looked like an adventure game. Yeah, probably puzzles. It looked like an adventure game that you were painting stuff on the walls that were then interactive or moving or like they came to life, which was that seemed cool. Yeah, it might be better. It might be one of the 10 games. It might be one of the 10 games that's better than Brothers. Don't know. Maybe. Fucking throwbacks. Ghosts of whatever. Speaking of that again for a quick second. I'll probably play that. We'll see. But that looks cool. Anyway. Yeah, and you'll probably play Spelunky too, I imagine. No, what? I would never. Spelunky 2? What a bunch of garbage. No. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. What else was there? There was a game called Erica, which we learned almost nothing about, except that it seemed like it had story. FMV game, right? It seemed like she was at a telephone, and it was like, "Hey, pick an option, and you're gonna see a different." Like it was not. That wasn't in engine. That looked like her. Like that looked like a person.
Yeah,
like all the shots of that looked literally full, like they looked real. So, yeah. And I'm not saying that means the graphics were good. I'm pretty sure that it was a actual. Vinny was probably gonna love it then. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the spiritual successor to Tender Loving Care.
Oh goodness. It looked horror-y or like thriller-y, which most FMV games lean into anyway. Like dark shit is usually always going on in those things. Someone was following her. She was trying to make decisions on a call. She could slash someone's throat or not slash their throat.
Yeah.
You know, the Until Dawn method of like decision making to lead to different scenes.
Yeah, which was actually a mechanic I found very interesting, specifically in Until Dawn.
I mean, technically, it's the David Cage method, if we're going to be honest. But
yeah, well, we'll get to David Cage later, Ryan.
We'll get there. He had a game that we all know was coming.
Yep, I actually didn't realize it was the same game for the longest time because it went in such a different direction, but with the trailer. But anyway, there was also we saw
you could tell by the stiff movement of the characters.
Yeah, but I didn't right away. I was like, oh well, this one's a robot, so
there was
stiff. But yeah,
I forgot. I mean, she looked more human than the human. Let's be real. Anyway,
that's the funny part. Then we saw a bunch of VR again. They really wanted you to make sure that you knew about the VR from the pre-show. But they did also mention one thing that they didn't in the pre-show, which was the most bro dude fucking VR thing I'd ever seen. A game called Blood and Truth. It was just about as bro duty as bro duty. Blood and Truth.
What was it? Sorry, you cut out there on my end. You said a bro dude. What's the title that you said?
Blood and Truth.
Oh, yeah. That looked
pretty bro duty. I would have been super into that at 16. It might be okay, but it's VR, so we won't be able.
That was the Sony London thing, right? Yeah. That was the British Game Studios. Yeah, they make games that are known for
bro dude shenanigans.
Not bro dude. I think bro dude's the wrong word to use for Sony London. I think
it was the right way for that fucking trailer, but
the thing is that like they made The Getaway. That's what they made. Yeah. The thing that you got to know about Sony London is that when they decide to put their tone in a game, it looks like Kingsman, because that's just what London does. I don't think how many.
Most of that movie didn't actually look like that one scene. Like it was actually relatively like well civilized and chill.
No, but I mean like it's cheeky high action. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like, hey, we're going to put a British tone and curse words on a bunch of like British, like a bunch of criminals, and like it's not always spies, but like things of that nature. Like you probably never played the game. How many old British movies? How many British movies have you seen? Have you seen like Snatch or
no?
What's the one with the train spotters? Like there's so they're essentially cheeky British criminals that do criminal things and shoot. Mm-hmm. Think of the Fast movie, except if they were not dumb Hollywood and it was instead low-key British people who were constantly making jokes and references that people wouldn't understand unless you're from there or you've watched those movies. That's kind of in tone with what Sony London will do sometimes.
Okay.
So like The Getaway was quite literally. It's been a while since The Getaway. I'm looking here now. I'm trying to remember when that came out. A long time ago by the looks of it.
It really got away from us. Sorry.
The Getaway came out in PlayStation 2. Came out in 2002.
Yeah, so
2003.
It's only been 15 years.
Yeah, it's only been 15 years. They their last known game. They've been doing Move stuff and SingStar and stuff. They did The Playroom. They did Wonder Book, which was that weird move game. Yeah, it's been a while since they've actually had a real game. So,
Ryan, are you saying
cool?
Are you saying
this is VR though?
It's not a real game. Come on.
Listen, I'm sure there's a really big SingStar dance people who do that, but yeah. Anyway,
not men in their late 20s.
That blood and
Truth, which is the most pretentious fucking title I've ever heard in my life. Also,
I'm kind of past caring about titles because I give everyone the benefit of the doubt of how do you come up with a good title now. You're not going to judge the book by its cover? Yeah. No, there's no such thing as a good title anymore because all the good titles are taken. So for the most part, although I will say Concrete Jungle was a pretty good title.
That's a pretty good title. Spelunky was a pretty good title.
Yeah, but I mean that wasn't original. There was a game on the NES called Spelunker, which is what Spelunky is based on.
Well, spelunking is an actual thing. It's like going and exploring caves and shit, right? So It's not. It's more of
no. That's what Spelunky's based on, 100%. Like you can talk to the developer about that.
Sure, but that's where the word comes from. It's not like the developers of Spelunky.
No, not the word Spelunky. The game Spelunky is based on the game Spelunky.
Sure, but we're talking about titles.
That dude played those old school NES games and went, "Hey, these suck," and then decided, "What if I made a good one of these?" And then made a good one. That's what. There's sequels to Spelunker 2 as well. Like they're making anyway. Spelunker Party I think is one. I'm surprised you haven't heard much of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Far Cry 5 has like party hangout friends mode with like texting and shit. That was weird. Very big.
That was so we know Far Cry 5 is coming. They've announced it before.
Yeah.
Most of the trailers, the first trailer, so I should say, of Far Cry 5 had like a real serious tone. Like it seemed like you're gonna go to Montana and kill a bunch of fucking neo-Nazis. Yeah. It's a big deal to kill all them fucking bad people, and then all the trailers since then have been like goofy as shit in tone.
So which is like very weird.
It's an Ubisoft game.
Yeah. So
the trailer showed off like it didn't really show. It didn't seem like it showed off anything new. Like there's been co-op in Far Cry games before. The buddy, like Chris and I have been playing Far Cry 4 off and on there in the summer, and that's the same experience we experienced in Far Cry 4. You could get in vehicles and fuck around.
Yeah.
Do things, take on towers. Like I'm sure Far Cry 5 might be good, but that trailer did nothing for me personally.
Same. You know what trailer did do something for me personally? Destiny 2 DLC. The Curse of Osiris, Ryan.
We also knew that was coming.
We did.
But
I already have that shit on lock.
Yeah, apparently the leaks had confirmed even the release date and the name. So of like the first 2 expansions. So they just announced them. They were like, "Yeah, everyone knows this shit. Here you go. There's more Destiny 2 coming, baby."
And we're gonna hang out with
that is the trailer. Ikura's not Osiris. Osiris is someone who Ikura talked about.
Yeah, it said we're gonna hang out with Ikura and probably fuck around with Osiris.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying Osiris was Ikura. I was like, no.
No, not at all, dude. I think that didn't they like either imply or directly say that he was her mentor or something?
Yeah, he's their mentor, and he did a bunch of cool guy action stuff, and then the trailer ended.
So they
didn't announce what's in. They didn't announce what was in the game or in the DLC.
No.
They did imply, though. I believe I heard they implied that the Mercury is going to be a thing. So there'll be a map.
They confirmed Mercury is going to be a thing.
There's a new place to go and sit down and explore. So there's a new open world map. But what we get from then on, who knows? Light level will increase, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Hopefully there's a raid.
Yeah, definitely strikes, I would assume. Mercury strikes.
Sorry, what was that?
So definitely at least like Mercury strikes or something.
Oh, yeah, but if there's just strikes and no raid and that's it, Destiny 2 is going to get shit on. Like, there are people, it's already getting shit on. Like, people are ripping Destiny to shreds right now. So
a little bit, yeah.
No, not a little bit. There's kind of a curve. There was a curve to more and more people got to the end game and realized that there's nothing meaningful in the Destiny 2 end game right now.
Yeah, except for the raid.
Yeah, but once you've done the raid, it's over. Like that's most people went, I did the raid. I'm not going to play Destiny till that expansion. That expansion doesn't have a raid. That's it. That's the end. People. I'm not saying that's the end of Destiny. I'm just saying a lot of people aren't going to pick it back up.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, there's got to be a raid there has to be a raid every DLC. There just has to. That game can't milk nickel and dime you. It has microtransactions already. They cannot nickel and dime. People aren't going to tolerate it.
They gave a raid in every one except for one expansion last time, didn't they?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the Taken King came out and was like a bigger deal. And considering how things are right now, the expectations from the audience are if there's not a raid in every single expansion, it better be because there's an entire new enemy type. Because there's no excuses. They can't just and that's the thing. This expansion is just more Vex, which means there has to be a raid. There has to be.
Yeah.
100% has to be a raid, or people will rip it. I'm telling you, it will get eviscerated.
Yeah.
People will not be happy. You can't it's just the thing. Like Destiny can sit there and say, I love Destiny 2. There's no denying that I think Destiny 2 is a fantastic game, but I also thought Destiny 1 was good. But Destiny 1 struggled with content problems. Destiny 2 launched better. It launched with a better package overall. The base game did, but one raid is not enough for endgame content. Like they've always had an endgame problem, even in the first game.
Yeah.
Like it's not even just with raids. They need to start coming out with more things that are endgame. Like I'm not talking raids and strikes. They need to come up with new content types for endgame.
Yeah.
It can't just be the same shit. Like they need to get their horses together here. And like I realize that they're probably doing a lot of community stuff and a lot of events, but Like they need to seriously look at their end game situation.
If they have a second raid, though, I think they're probably because like when did the game come out? Like 2 months ago.
For how long though? That's another few months. Like you can't just do it so that it's always just every few months we're going to release an expansion and give us a raid and that's it. Like they need to. There needs to be more.
Sure.
Like when you look at the Crucible, like to me, if you're gonna, because keep in mind there's no flying. There's not. The only way you engage with that world is through menus, and then you just go to places. And like that world is really fun to engage with, but how many new enemies were in Destiny 2 over Destiny 1? Like 4?
Something
like come on. They're like, and then they don't have endgame at launch. Great that the story was better. I'm glad that they put efforts into that, but now it's time to really start focusing on endgame. And endgame's more than just raids and strikes. There needs to be new mode types. During the later stages of Destiny 1, they added a horde mode. They got to start looking at things like that. I don't give a shit. Give me a PUBG mode. Just add modes to that game that people can play and earn shit with. Like there are mode ideas out there, and it doesn't all have to be Crucible themed. Like there can be other PvE mode ideas, but they need to start thinking about that stuff, in my opinion. Like I'm hoping by the time, because the rumors are next September, we'll get a Taken King style level expansion. Like it'll be large. That's where people are expecting all the new enemy types. Like they'll be like, hey, we introduced 2 new factions of enemies for this DLC. Like, you know what I mean? It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll go somewhere outside our own solar system. That'd be cool. Let's go to some crazy planets. But yeah.
It's fucked up places.
Anyway, we could go on and on about Destiny 2. It's a game that's already out. It's a game that's
that
content on our channel.
Yeah,
go check it out.
Probably most of our content at this point. Not most of, but more than 8.
No. Yeah, of late. Well, I don't know what's still going on. I think we haven't played it in a while, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but it I think it has like we're over 50 episodes of that, so quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, we'll move on. That or Overwatch. It's definitely top 2. Anyway, yeah. Also, we got to see more of the Monster Hunter thing. We didn't really learn much new. They just got like the cool guy action trailer. If you're into Monster Hunter, you're into that trailer. You already knew that you're going to buy that game. If you're not, you might or might not be. But they did.
I'm someone who's not into Monster Hunter, so maybe I'll make a comment here.
Sure.
That trailer seemed okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I need to see more of Monster Hunter before I determine if I want to get into it or not. There's a shit ton of systems in Monster Hunter that interest me. You know, cooking, like I kind of like the idea of just there's not a lot of little, there's very few little enemies. It's like, hey, you're gonna fight an enemy and it's a big deal. Like it's like Bloodborne distilled. It kind of feels, you know what I mean? Like a Souls game distilled, where it's like everything is a boss. As opposed to, or everything's close to a boss, as opposed to, hey, there's all these little enemies that you can kill first. The thing is from what I understand, a big draw of Monster Hunter is playing in groups.
Yes.
And I don't know if I'll be interested in going that road. I'm cautiously optimistic that I may try the new Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
The big announcement though was that you can play as the lady from Horizon.
Yeah, Aloy.
And her little cat as skins in Monster Hunter, which is a weird crossover.
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense. I haven't played Horizon, but it seems like Horizon's a lot of run around and kill these techno monsters. So
yeah, I've never played it either.
Yeah, weird. I think you're playing it. Dude, I had to watch a video. I was watching our own content there. I was watching you guys' Horizon video, and I had to stop myself. But as I was watching them, I'm like, this game looks real. I haven't played Horizon yet. For those who don't know, man, I want to play it. It looks so good.
Yeah, Ryan, you can play it. And then you could.
That's a lot of like run around, kill monsters, right? Like that's basically another version of. Is that a Monster Hunter like?
Sort of, because there's
to a degree.
I mean, there's a lot of different things to it. Like, yeah, there's monsters. There's a decent amount of killing people too, and the fighting of humans and monsters is very, very different. Because obviously humans are easier to kill because there's not giant. They're not like 3 times your size or more, but obviously they're smarter. Monsters have very specific patterns. They feel, once you get the hang of them, they feel relatively fair. Relatively? Well, I say that. I also tend to be, I could see you having some Bloodborne-esque moments with that. Like, what the fuck is that move? But, you know.
Depends, because if it's more of an action game or an open world, based on what I saw of you playing, there's a bow, so done. That's... Like the thing that gets me with Bloodborne is it's all about patience and timing, and it's not really. I can't really be good, and like you can be good and make up for it, but that's more like dodging and stuff. Like I don't know, like I have a feeling that
it's more
my hands of skills will translate to being able to use a bow, because when I played, whenever I've used a bow in games, Tomb Raider, Crisis had like a crossbow, hands up. Like I'm decent. I like bows.
I
like
will
shooting
give you
people.
one warning though between the two. It's not a headshot if you don't actually hit them in the head, so you might not be as big of a fan of it as Hanzo's broken ass fucking. I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of Hanzo. Fuck Hanzo. Anyway,
he might have changed. I don't know. I played a little bit of Overwatch recently, but all right.
But yeah,
does the Horizon add-on do anything for you for Monster Hunter? Does that make you want to play it as someone who's played Horizon?
I already was cautiously optimistic. I don't think it does anything. It's like, oh, I'm glad that exists, and obviously I'll check that part out.
So if you were playing it, if you were playing Monster Hunter, you'd be like, hey, I'll switch to whatever what's her name, Aloha or something.
Aloha, Aloy.
Oh, there you go. I knew it was an A.
Aloha. Yeah. Chris needs to know about this.
All right. What else happened? There was other games. There was other trailers.
Else happened. Spelunky 2 show ended. No, they did show us COD World War II, which drops in 3 days.
You know that game that comes out on Friday? Yeah. Man. So for those who don't know, we were watching. I'm assuming Cal did as well. I was watching the GB feed of this, so we watched the GB guys, as everyone on our channel, if you follow anything, would know. And I got to echo the sentiments of one Jeff Gersman, as someone who likes to keep his ear to the ground as it relates to shooter talk.
Nothing about this game.
Nobody gives a shit about Call of Duty this year. There's just so many other shooters people are talking. I would tell you, in my honest opinion right now, more people care about Overwatch Halloween update than they do a new Call of Duty game.
Yep.
And Overwatch is over a year old now. Like, it's fucking 2015 that game came out. Like,
end of, yeah. I guess we're at the end of 2017.
No. It came out in spring of 2015, didn't it?
I think it was.
It's over 2 years now.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because it was in beta for like 1,000 years. So
Overwatch might have been 2016. Like, it's maybe I'm forgetting.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, okay, it came out in May of last year. Okay, sorry, it was a year. Anyway, like, I mean, there's just way too many shooters to play, guys. We got there's a new Star Wars shooter, which I'd imagine, considering the first, we could get to that, but Battlefront 1. We talked about this with the E3 stuff too at some point, but Battlefront 1, the reboot, did not, like, it sold well, but it didn't really win the hearts and minds. Didn't have a campaign. This one's coming with a campaign that's canon. There's a new Wolfenstein game out that everyone seems to be talking about. Shooter, everyone loves it. Destiny came out. We got Destiny on the PC. We have, old shooters like Overwatch still dominating. I'm not going to say there's no audience for that World War II Call of Duty. I'm going to be curious the numbers. I have a feeling that the numbers might be low for a Call of Duty game. Absolutely. Yeah. I just don't think anyone... I can feel like this has been coming for years. We're like, hey... It was a fun journey, Call of Duty.
Yeah, like, you guys had a good decade.
Like, literally. You can't just keep doing, hey, it's a war game. We're not doing anything different. And this is like World War II, so which they're going back, which is weird because Battlefield did that, but Battlefield went to World War I. It did Battlefield 1.
Yeah,
and it actually
had done World War I before that as well.
Yes, of course. They both done World War I and II at certain points in their history, but it had been a while that either of them had done that.
I got that mixed up.
Battlefield did first, like they did last year. Battlefield 1 came out last year. And I remember people having okay things to say about that. I remember thinking to myself that the narrative structure was kind of cool. Instead of playing one single-player campaign with one character, it was like stories at different points of the war. So it'd be like, this mission is like 40 minutes long, and it's an airplane mission, and you're a pilot. And then it'd be like, now you're not a pilot, you're complete. And they would give you backstory to the pilot you are and stuff. And like, I'm sure the narrative in Call of Duty's new game is going to be fine. They generally have a history of making pretty, not accurate, like it's not like complete accurate, but it's like the Michael Bay version of accurate. You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to take this period of time.
Also explosions.
Yes, but it's not like unrealistic explosions, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things that, as much as I will shit talk the Michael Bay experience, the Transformers movies is a perfect example. It's not like the explosions are like crazy space explosions. It's explosions being caused by things that those Transformers can. In very much the same way the Call of Duty campaigns work. Yes, a building collapses at points, but it's like, it's not like because of an alien spaceship, unless there's alien. You know what I mean? Like, they don't break the narrative of where they are. They like to try to still feel like it's like Saving Private Ryan. There are exaggerated moments in that movie, but it still feels like a war movie, like an authentic war movie. In the same way, I feel like the Call of Duty campaigns kind of skirt that. Yeah, we're a little bit over the top, but we're not as over the top as like, as like a Star Wars. Like, we're still, this is still war. I don't know what, if we live in a world where this Friday, let's assume, because I haven't even heard a lot about pre-order numbers, like checking. Let me just give you you know what?
Yeah,
let's just do a quick.
Google that shit, Ryan. Google's gonna know exactly what you're looking for.
We're gonna go to now. Granted, this site isn't always perfect, as in it doesn't update everything completely accurately. But we're gonna take a look at some
base to look at
pre-order numbers here. Yeah. So, the site hasn't been updated in a while. Damn, that sucks.
Rip.
VG Charts is the site I usually go to. Yeah, so I'm just trying to see the tracking of pre-sales for Call of Duty World War II. And it looks like the PS4 version has a couple 100,000 pre-sales, which isn't awful. It did in September. That's the last pre-sale. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, it doesn't. Yeah, the last pre-sale date I can see, or the pre-order date, is the 16th of September. So usually it takes a few weeks for that stuff to come out. But I'd be curious to see what the sales totals are for this thing. I don't think it's going to be zero. Like, obviously, it's a Call of Duty game. But
yeah.
I mean, Call of Duty games traditionally do 20+ million. We're talking, or even the weaker ones have done over 10. I'd be shocked if this one reaches 10 million units. Like, I think 5 would be a more realistic expectation, to be completely honest with you.
Like, we've seen it. It's been literally a decade, like, since Modern Warfare was 2007. Like, we got there. And the thing is, a lot of that audience that was like really fell in love with that game have gotten older. I was a huge fan of the first Modern Warfare. I was also 16 years old. I like shooters. I like something more.
Modern Warfare was my shooter of choice, and for a long time,
fucking great. It had a solid campaign. The multiplayer was revolutionary, literally to the point where you're like, oh, that's still a big thing for the next 10 years.
Like, I think I jumped off my last Call of Duty that I played, like actually played a bunch of multiplayer on, and even a bunch is a long stretch. Like, I probably played 10 hours or 15 hours. It would have been Black Ops 2. Yeah. And at that point, that was it for me. I was like, I need something else. You need to be somewhere. Yeah. I can't just be shooting regular dudes anymore.
I begrudgingly stuck around.
I need a jetpack or something.
Through the Modern Warfare 3, but that was mostly because I wanted to see how that campaign ended. I was invested in those characters, even though that wasn't the main draw of those games. That was and then pretty well done.
And then Overwatch came out, which, you know, given my penchant for superheroes, that was like, hey, what if we've won this thing you really like with this thing you really like? And I was like, gosh. And what if Blizzard did it? I was like, okay. It looked like Pixar. Okay, done. Home run.
And you know how you and your friend Kyle don't have a very big crossover in games that you like, because Kyle's really into MOBAs? We're going to make it a MOBA too. But not really.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can identify with it. We play together.
They brought in from lots of audiences.
Yep. And also, we're going to give you a sassy British friend who plays it.
Yeah, that's true. They gave us Lynch.
They didn't give us Lynch, but you know.
We'll see what happens with this Call of Duty franchise in the future. I'm not as excited about this game. Nope. I'm not even excited about next year's game. I'm excited for the year after that. Like, it's going to take some time, I think, for them to start to realize that they got to, if they're going to make, like, I'm not saying, listen, one of the quotes that one Vincent Caravella always likes to use, and I was hearing it a bunch this week on the Giant Beastcast. And this is something I was going to bring up to you, Kyle, when we have debates, because Kyle and I constantly do this.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The walking around with your head down, so you don't realize that you're just walking in a circle and things are circular. Like, you know, how people who claim this is dead, it's dead forever. It's like you're claiming that in a bubble. And if you looked up out of the bubble, you'd realize you're walking in. You got your nose down. You're just walking in a circle because everything's cyclical. And people were saying the reason it was brought up is because people go, "Oh, the narrative experience is dead," and everyone's like, "Really? The single player narrative is dead?" And you know, you look at last Friday, 3 games released: Wolfenstein, Mario, and Assassin's Creed. None of them have a multiplayer component. So it's like, hey, I thought the narrative experience was dead. No, it's not. It's just
people are dumb. Yeah.
It's just in the moment, everything is right. In a moment, everything can be a correct statement. So, yeah. Anyway, a few years out, I want to see what Call of Duty looks like.
Oh yeah, sure.
I hope that they
people say Call of Duty is dead, or like shooters as a concept are morons. This formula is done in its current state. It got a good decade.
They need to do more.
Do something else now.
Like, here's the the thing that needs to happen. Like, I'm not even saying it can't even still be war. It cannot be the single player. The experience cannot be, we have a single player component that's 6 hours long. We have a multiplayer component with your usual game modes. That's it. And it's the same thing they can't do that anymore. Like, that's part of the reason Destiny's successful isn't just that it's Destiny. It's that it's different. your character persists from multiplayer to single player, how you engage and play with other, like, I can't play a Call of Duty campaign with you or a co-op. Like, they need to sit down and go, okay, what are we going to make an open world game? Like, it can't just be another narrative corridor shooter mixed with team deathmatch. Like, that's done. Like, they need to move from there and start thinking of, again, it's like what people say about why PUBG is so successful. It's a different game. They need to start expanding their minds around different ways of shoot. Their shooting's great in Call of Duty, so they need to take that base shooting and figure out more.
Yeah,
and whether that involves past, present, like timelines, whatever. Like, I'm just saying that I don't think next year's will, because Call of Duty is usually on a cycle. That is to say, there's currently a developer already working on it. I would say that they'll probably go back to the future with the next one, or alternatively, like more of a modern, like because that's the thing. They've done modern games, but it's been a while since they've done a Modern War games, and the last Modern War game they did was when Modern War was different.
3, I think.
Yeah, and even then that was more future tech. Like, I'm not saying, like, Modern Warfare wasn't even, like, they jumped forward in Modern Warfare, if I recall correctly. Like, they had stuff that we don't have.
Advanced Warfare did that. Modern Warfare 3 was still, like, top of the line shit for the time, but it wasn't, like, unrealistic. Here's some cybernetic enhancements.
There was a lot of space age shit in Modern Warfare 3, if I recall correctly, like robots, drones. Like, don't get me wrong, we got a lot of that stuff now, but they exaggerated that to the point where it was like, this isn't exact. Like I'm just saying, we're far enough into the future now that they couldn't. I don't know.
We do need to try to.
I think what they do has to be more than just a skin decision anyway. Like, it can't just be another time in war. They could go back too. Like, I'd be really like, then it's not a shooter, but I don't know. Give me modern feudal Japan or something. Like,
well, not modern,
go somewhere else and try to do something, but.
Yeah, we do need to pick this up a little bit because I have to start getting ready for work. But
fair enough.
To kind of pursue this, they made a game called On Rush, which is, I think Gersman was right, a terrible title, but looked like it was a charming looking driving game with like ATVs and bikes.
Oh yeah, the San Francisco Rush type thing that had all the different vehicles and seemed goofy and fun, and had a nice sound or nice song playing. On Rush, was that called?
Yep, On Rush. A terrible name, but maybe a good game. That could be a fun time. Happy.
No gameplay was shown, but
no,
Codemasters is doing that. Codemasters is doing that. If I recall correctly, they're responsible for. Oh geez, they're responsible for Dirt. That's what it was. Yes, they're the Dirt guys.
Yep.
Dirt's probably before your time, but it used to be the PC giant. It used to be what people played on PC racing, because it was like, oh my god, look at all the mud tech. Because that was a big deal. Remember when were you playing games when Uncharted 2 originally released? Like, that was a big deal too. Like the sand tech, like snow tech,
the shirt water effect.
The water,
really into in the first one, which I mean was cool. Also for a 10-year-old.
It was, but like that was a big deal then. It's like you could see the tires on the cars spit up. But yeah, that looks fine. That looks. That looks tonally. The trailer said a tonal thing that I was like, hey, a racing game that I don't have to take as super serious and be a car guy. So I feel like a lot of it's transitioned to the sports angle of like, you have to be really into racing. It's like, I just want cool cars crashing and stuff, guys, and going fast.
Yeah, give me Herbie the Love Bug
soundtrack happens.
Knight Rider. Let's do it.
Overwatch of car games, car heroes.
Hell yeah. And
that's just twisted metal at that point.
Yeah, really. Also, Battlefront 2 is still going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's the 17th of November, I believe, if I recall correctly, my dates.
I'm still cautiously optimistic. I really hope that's good, but I got kind of really let down on the first Battlefront.
So I played the beta, Battlefront 2, when it came out. Wasn't. I don't want to say I wasn't impressed. There were things that impressed me, but yeah, it's the 17th.
You weren't blown away?
Well, the multiplayer that they showed, it all played fine. It didn't play bad. It played fine, but structurally, I had some serious issues with the multiplayer. And the multiplayer is only half the reason I'm showing up. Like, I'm one of those. I love Star Wars, so I will definitely play through the campaign because it's canon, and I want to know what the fuck happens. That's literally a big reason I'm going to get this game. And I think it looks cool. Like, inhabiting that universe is fun, and I think the campaign would give me more of the experience. But the multiplayer rate, from what I've seen in the beta, and granted the beta was limited, I wasn't able to try. They have a heroes mode versus villains mode or whatever, where you play the hero characters that specifically. But it was way too Call of Duty for me. The way everything unlocked, like, okay, so like they have characters that are heroes, but like, give me 1 second. Sorry.
It's okay.
Every time I talk, my nose gets all clogged. Anyway,
it's okay, you're so excited.
So the way it works is they have multiple game types. The game types that were available in the beta, there was 3 to my knowledge, and then there was like some single player side thing that was just a quick mission. So the 3 different game types that they showed off were the like Galactic Assault, which is like the levels that change based on objectives. So the level that they showed off was the one they showed off at E3, which was the Theed map in Naboo, where the droids are assaulting the palace and the clones got to defend the palace. So one of the first things that bugged me about this is that the wind conditions are different on each side in that map. So if you're the attacker, the droids, if you push to the temple, it then activates a different phase. And then you activate another phase several times until you get to the throne room. If you're the clones, if you destroy what you need to destroy in that first phase, which is this giant walker, that's it. The map's over. The clones win. Yeah. So that instantly weirds me out. The second thing that weirds me out, there's no AI.
I want to make sure we're on the same page. So what feels different than compared to something like the payload objective on Overwatch, which still, obviously you have 2 different objectives there, but
what feels different is that in Overwatch, I'm a character with special abilities that's always using them. In Battlefront, you are a trooper with special abilities that always can be used. So the way the loadouts work is every class functions like an Overwatch character. They have their own specific set of. They have 3 abilities: a bumper, a trigger, and then a super, like all of them together.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and then of course you can customize these loadouts with star cards, and star cards are permanent, which is a big difference from the first one, where star cards were these like enhancements. Now it's like, hey, you can now it's sometimes you can get star cards that literally modify or change an existing ability entirely, right? Like sometimes you have a stun grenade, right? Like with one of the classes. And then you can eventually turn it into. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Yep.
Yeah. My apologies, but
it's okay, Ryan. It's okay.
Allergies.
Sick sometimes.
Flaring up. It always happens in the morning for me. Anyway, so yeah, so you have these star cards, and you can modify it, and like it'd be like you have a stun grenade, and then you can modify it to be like this is a tripwire instead of a stun grenade. Like that's just an example.
Sure.
Anyway. So the way this works is that you have all those units and then yada yada. So then you have your payload coming in. So in Overwatch, if I'm like, say, Tracer, I have a lot of unique abilities off the go. In Battlefront, the majority of all the classes, yes, they all have abilities. The abilities aren't large, except for, like, they aren't game changers. Like, you can, your assault class, your ultimate just gives you a shotgun that you can use at close range. So it's just a specific instance thing, right? In the case of Overwatch, most people's ultimates, other than a few characters, those are meant to wipe a bunch of enemies. Like you can do a lot of damage, right?
Or do something specific, right? Like, or it's a big.
And it's not necessarily that this game doesn't have hero characters. It's how the hero characters unlock. So you don't get hero characters like just willy-nilly. You get points for doing anything. They're called battle points. So if you are the clone troopers and you are attacking the objective, which is like a payload, it's just coming down the streets. So you can go grab a rocket launcher, and when it's able to shoot at it, you can shoot at it, and you'll get a few battle points. And your battle points don't go away if you die, but you obviously get more battle points for consecutive kills and things like that. Sure. Well, that's how you unlock hero characters. Okay, in my experience, in some of the matches I played in,
like a rich get richer situation.
Maul, Boba Fett, and then even to an extent, like there's also like it depends on what side you're on. Obviously, like the way the beta presented it was, it's not about canonical sense, as in it's just Sith versus or dark side versus light. Every evil character's on the evil side, regardless of era. Like you could be Boba Fett in the Theed map, which doesn't make sense because it would have been Jango Fett because Boba Fett was a kid. Like, they don't care. They don't give a shit about that. Like you could be Rey, and it's like Rey is not even born. Like she's literally not even been. Like, okay, whatever. They don't care. Like, it's not about that. But, like, it wasn't just those as the hero characters. You can use your battle points on everything. That's how you buy vehicles. And, like, the way this stuff works is not in map. It's when you die. When you die, you get brought to the spawn screen, and you can pick what class you're going to spawn. And if you have battle points, you can then spend them. And then in the Theed map, regardless of what side you're on, until you hit the next phase, you could spend them even on tanks and stuff like that. And once you spend them, they're gone. So like if you're saving up for, hey, I want to try Rey out, I'm going to save up. Oh, match ended because I didn't get enough battle points before the match ended because the clones won at the first payload. Like that's the thing, right? There's no. It feels too Call of Duty. Like the thing is, the reason that it's okay for Call of Duty to do what it does, which is, hey, you've gotten 5 kills, here's an airstrike. Hey, you've got 7 kills in a row, here's a helicopter. Because seeing the helicopter doesn't really matter. Like, it's not really, it's just a cool, hey, I got the helicopter. playing as a hero is a big deal. Like that's a thing. Like you would set out to be like, I'm gonna play this game because I want to get Darth Maul and fuck some dudes up in this multiplayer map. You might not even get the battle points to see that. The match could be over before then, depending on.
You're gonna see
the other thing,
right? Because you're gonna have some people who want to see all the cool stuff, and you're gonna have some people who are doing like the super try hard thing, and they're gonna be like, "You're sitting on your battle points to use the hero, but we need 2 tanks in this instance." And it's like you're gonna
and you don't even. And here's the worst part: there's not really any communication. There wasn't any there was no way of identifying what people needed. And even though the hero characters do offer specific elements of strategy in their abilities, most people, from my experience, weren't getting them at specific times because everyone was just racing to get battle points to see it's like I just want to experience this.
Well,
game.
that's more indicative of a beta, right? Like that kind of stuff.
But I don't think so because you're going to get casual players who sit down to play multiplayer, and that's their perspective. Like I shouldn't I honestly feel that this is a direction that they've taken this from even DICE's previous games. That's a negative. When I played Battlefield 2, if I wanted to experience a plane or a tank, you know what I did? I ran to a plane or a tank. They were there. I didn't have to inconvenience my teammates or it didn't feel like me engaging with the fun aspects of the game worked in the multiplayer component because it was just part of the game.
Yeah.
And for balancing purposes, I'm assuming because hero characters seem to be, in their perspective, broken, that's just not the case here. It's everything is obtained via battle points and good luck. And in the other mode that they offered, the other main multiplayer mode, it was a starfighter mode where you could fly, which they didn't have fully in the first game. They didn't have space battles. This is a full-on space battle. I enjoyed, but a big reason I enjoyed this over the regular mode was because in the space mode, they have AI enemies on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big throwaway for me in the Theed map, is that there was no AI enemies. So and there's a lot of cool things. Like the Theed map would open with the streets filled with civilians, and as the droids are coming, and the civilians just panic. They all just start running away, and you're just like, oh my god, everything's happening. And then you'd be like, okay, so this is going to be a big assault, and then it's like 12 on 12.
Yeah.
No, it's like 12 on 12. So you see your clone troopers all start bunny hopping and running to the side, and then you see a bunch of bunny hopping droids run out of the way from where the objective is, and I'm like, this isn't an assault on Theed. This is a bunch of fucking bunny hopping idiots. Like droids don't bunny hop. You idiots! Droids run in a straight line towards the objective. Have you ever watched Star Wars?
So it's like, fine.
If you're gonna make it so that droids all have classes, no different than clone troopers and yada yada, then there should be a bunch of AI units doing the thing so that I can, you know what I mean? So that I can feel the scale of a Star Wars battle. It just didn't feel like a Star Wars battle. It felt like I was playing a team deathmatch with Star Wars skin, and I don't like that. Like you can't do that. Scale's got to be, I don't know, that mode needs AI. It 100% needs, and lots of them. Like, there should be a battle going on that the human players are fighting around. You know what I mean?
I agree completely.
That just didn't feel like that didn't feel like that was happening. So
let's keep going because I'm running out of time.
Yes, I'm sorry. We could talk about Battlefront forever. So
we could. There's also some exclusives because we have PS4s.
Battlefront 2, it's coming.
That is coming.
That's the long and the short of it.
Yeah,
I'm still optimistic about it, but
cautiously optimistic. I'm the same. Spider-Man is still happening, and it looks like it's not just Miles Morales, but Peter Parker's there, and maybe he's still Spider-Man, but maybe not. He's
you didn't know. So Spider-Man's been announced already.
We knew
Insomniac's,
but
Insomniac's doing it. They had a trailer at E3.
Yeah,
and they did announce that you're Peter Parker. No one knows for sure.
They announced that you were Miles at the E3 trailer.
No, they announced that Miles Morales was in the game. They never announced that you were Miles Morales. Miles Morales is black.
Yeah, I know. But no, in the trailer, when they're doing the talk,
in the trailer, you were white guy, so you cannot. But they weren't trying to imply that you again, you might play as Miles later. Spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't follow current comics: Peter Parker in the current comics dies. Yeah, early.
Everybody dies.
And then Miles takes over. So that's kind of a thing, especially in the Donald Glover voices him in some animated show as Miles Morales. Anyway, the trailer looked cool. They might do the thing where you play a little bit as Peter, like half the game is Peter and half the game is Miles. I can see that.
Yeah.
The one thing that I like about this Spider-Man game, by the way, I'll just throw out there, not based on any
Yeah,
it's not directly based on the comics. It's just like, hey, we're gonna make our own story with this labyrinth of heroes. Like one of the first things that the trailer sets into tone is that the city isn't experiencing a lot of crime because the Kingpin got arrested, and like that, I like that. Like I like that Kingpin's in it because in the other universes, Kingpin is kind of locked away with Daredevil. So
yeah,
well, he's locked away with Daredevil and Netflix. That's kind of the only place we've seen him. So
yep,
yeah,
yes. So I'm so excited about that. Yeah,
I'll say. Yeah, it's Insomniac. I love everything they do for the most part, and I haven't played a Spider-Man game in a while. But there's a Spider-Man game I loved. I remember talking about it, so I'm excited.
Yes. All right. Also, let's go take a visit to our friend David Cage and Detroit Becoming Human, because that looks weird. So before the last trailer,
you ever played a David Cage game?
I have not. Oh, sorry, I did play like 2 hours of Heavy Rain.
Okay.
Those always looked like games that looked like they had some really cool ideas that they did not execute on, and then Until Dawn executed on what they wanted to be, but obviously through different devs. So I'm hoping that David Cage has taken some notes from Until Dawn. I'm very much doubting that is the case, but I would love to be wrong. I think there was a quote that Ben Pack had yesterday that was. Everyone gets disappointed by a David Cage game at least once, or let down by a David Cage game at least once.
No, I think you're thinking of what Brad said from the comment in the chat, which is that everyone gets tricked by a David Cage game.
That's what it was.
Not disappointed, tricked, which implies that it doesn't disappoint you. It's that it gets you with its things that makes you know what it is going in. You know what it is the whole time. It's just it's a quick time event game. It's meant to be. If you've ever played an adventure game, which I'm assuming you have, that's more in line with what a David Cage game is. It's an adventure game with crazy themes, and the thing is that sometimes people get sucked in by the crazy themes. As someone who's beaten and had platinumed Heavy Rain, I can definitely say I'm one of those people. That said, this looks fine. Like the scenario they presented in the trailer was cool. Yep. It was a nice twist of this is the thing. David Cage touches on things that a lot of people don't have the balls to touch on, and for that reason alone, I feel like he gets a little bit of
to say he did a fucking terrible job at handling an interview afterwards with Eurogamer, where they were like, because they kind of asked him about the woman beating. He did a terrible
artist. He's an artiste, man. The way he talks is very artiste. I created this vision and this world. You know what? That's insulting today. I like David Cage's ideas, I should say, to a degree. But the one thing that really intrigued me about the Detroit was, and what they showed, it was nice to see, hey, we always assume that when robots come into our lives, it's going to be them that take advantage of us. But what about the assholes who take advantage of them?
Right, it's like the discussion we had in Drinks and Discussions about the clones, the robots, the clones.
Yes, but it's not. But we're not even talking the asshole who's just like, I hate robots, so I'm going to beat up robots. We're talking about someone who's like, my life sucks, so I invited a robot into my house, but I'm going through a bad time, so my whole family feels it. And it's like that's always going to be the case. Robots are not robots, and it's like one thing that
they imply that this robot had done something to upset the adult in it and got reset. So it's like,
it seemed like what happened was
there's a weird power dynamic in that relationship.
Wife left him. Dude's wife left him and the kid for another man. He references that at some point.
Yes, he does.
Your fucking wife left me for an account, and then he throws the table or something. Yeah. And it's just like one of those moments where I stop and go, we're still people regardless of what we do to this world. And people need to remember that. It's a harsh lesson. We're not going to be perfect. And that's one of the reasons why it's hard to teach a machine about us. Because we suck. Every one of us, we suck at points in our lives. We are not great people. I would say that every person has gone through a period where they're not a great person, but you and probably will. So
probably also don't beat your kid. That reminded me way too much of the
oh yeah, of course.
The Kim Bauer storyline at the start of actually it was very similar to the Kim Bauer storyline at the start of season 2 of 24. Right, I mean, there's a mother figure in that show, but switch out that android with Alicia Cuthbert
with the mother figure. Yeah.
Well, no, because there was
obviously I wasn't implying that the guy was right for beating his daughter in that scenario.
No,
whatever happened. Just saying that they made implications that this was a complicated situation. It seemed like life used to be good with him before, when his wife was with him. It seemed like things were better.
I got a different impression that no, she's very much clearly left because he was already a scumbag. But obviously.
See, I don't know. I got the impression that this dude started to get angry after his wife left him. Like that's generally a thing that happens where you have contained individuals. They find their place and everything's good, and then one wrench throws in. It's like, I don't love you anymore, and then they're fucked. Like it just messes with them.
I got the impression that was why she left, but we have no way of knowing one way or the other. We'll find out in time.
I'll just say that the only reason I got that impression is because in David Cage games, traditionally, he likes to have the user play as someone when their life is good, and then play as them again when their life is bad. One of the big examples, you've only played a little bit of Heavy Rain, but one of the big examples in Heavy Rain is the beginning of the game is you as the father with his two sons. One of your sons dies early on in that game. Then it becomes you're divorced. That's the reason I was thinking this, because David Cage has done this type of thing before. Like I could very easily have you, your daughter, and the wife all happy family at the beginning of the game. Then your wife decides to leave you for something, and then you just go on a fucking.
I also got the feeling that the robot was the titular, or not the titular character, but was the player character in that scene, in that instance. But
there's no such thing as a single player character in a David Cage game.
No, but I mean in an instance, right? If in that house, you're going to play as all three characters.
I have a feeling that game is going to start you before the robots are a big thing. Like you're going to play as people, and then you'll play as robots. The David Cage games have you play about 15, 20 different characters, dude. Like in Heavy Rain, you only played like 5, but even then, like
Anyways,
he does that a lot. Anyway, we'll continue.
Yeah, God of War. Detroit looks like it might be cool, maybe. God of War, that's still going to be a thing. It's still Norse mythology.
I really don't have much to say because they didn't show fuck all.
No, we just saw that the kid was like, "Yeah, fuck you," and it's like, "Oh, you're not the one."
The kid had some attitude. He said, "See ya." He said, "See ya," and then it reminded me of Kingdom Hearts, because whenever the first game, whenever Sora does the combo attack, he goes, "See ya," and then he does the blast. That was terrible. Anyway, yes. The reason I don't want to say much about that God of War. What did they show us? It was like, hey, here's a quick combat sequence, and then they're opening the door together. Trailer. Like it wasn't even. It was like a minute long.
They didn't say anything to us.
I get it. They showed it at E3. Why was it there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is still
I'm gonna
happening.
play that God of War probably, but it looks more like a Blood Souls.
She's a very mythology based person. Also, speaking of games that Alex is a big fan of, fuck my hair again. Horizon's expansion to Frozen Waste is happening. Yeah, DLC.
Yeah. Someone who's not played Horizon, I'm removed from that. Does that just look like more Horizon?
I think so. Okay, I haven't gotten far enough into it. I mean, as somebody who hasn't hit Endgame, I'm excited because it's like, oh, hey, there's more of that. But
you're hoping that Endgame isn't just all that, so then you'll be less excited. Like, hey, I don't need $20 for more of that.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't comment yet. Chris would have would be able to give me great opinions about that, but I can't.
That world seems really cool for a lot of people, though. And as someone who wants to play that game, you know, I'm in that boat as well.
Yep.
So.
And Shadow of the Colossus is still happening. It still looks really nice.
That's the PS4 remake. Yep. Yeah, they announced that at E3 too. Again, like they just kind of, there was a bit here where they were just like, hey, you know, all those games we showed you at E3, we have another little quick thing on them, and that's fine. But I was kind of expecting some more AAA announcements in these slots. But hey.
I was as well, but not that much has happened since then. But the last trailer that we're going to talk about, is The Last of Us 2. Fucking crushed it. So that was you never played that game, right?
That was what?
You never played the first Last of Us, did you?
I played it, but I haven't beaten it.
Okay.
Like I played like 6 hours of it.
Okay.
And then the reason I haven't beaten it isn't due to any good reasons. It's just I just haven't.
Yeah. Sometimes you put a game down. I understand.
The Last of Us is a fantastic game, and The Last of Us 2 looks fine. It was announced already, but we didn't get anything at E3. It was just like, hey, Last of Us 2 is coming. Everyone's like, really? They're making a sequel to Last of Us? So they kind of showed tone and stuff here. And like, I really enjoyed the original Last of Us. This seems way darker than the original Last of Us. This seems like
first one gets pretty dark later on, so not really. It was very much
but like it's not that it wasn't dark where I was. Like there's death and stuff. It's just the first Last of Us feels more, hey, the world has fallen and there's still like it's like 20 years later. This feels way longer than 20 years later than that.
I don't think it was that far removed. I got the impression that the girl that was like getting hung was Ellie like a few years later. I have no idea where the fuck Joel was. If he's still alive, if anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is no Joel. As someone who hasn't beaten The Last of Us, I'm pretty sure that I know that as a spoiler to myself, that Joel probably bites it in the end, or she leaves him. Anyway, I didn't get the vibe at all. When you meet Ellie in the original Last of Us, she's like 12. Did you see Ellie in this?
15.
Her arms, okay, when the camera went behind her,
Yeah,
I thought she was coming to the WWE ring. Jesus Christ, she's taking Scott Steiner steroids. Yeah.
We're also not sure if that's Ellie, by the way. That just
she's like a beast.
That was an
and like, oh,
but yes,
like I got way more Walking Dead vibes from this than I did anything else. Like this felt like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, some people got really mad because this one girl got her arm beat to shit with a hammer, and they thought that that was a woman beating thing. But I thought it was more like, no, these are just some fucked up people. Also, this character happens to be a woman. I didn't get the feeling that it was like we're gonna.
No, it's not a woman thing. It's that we were kind of talking about this a bit off stream. It's just the PC culture, man. Progressively conservative. Sorry, the politically correct culture. It's
progressively conservative. Is that
that's what it is. Sometimes people don't like the dark tones of stuff, and I know I've seen some comments, people who say that they don't like Sony first party for that exact reason. They'll say, I liked Sony first party in the PlayStation 2 era because it was Ratchet and Jack and Sly. It was all cartooned. It was all lighter. And then now it's all Uncharted and Last of Us and Horizon. It's all like a post-apocalyptic violence, different society. Like it's all, hey man, we're sophisticated because we're darker and we deal with mature themes. And it's like, my issue with that is it's like they're not saying they're sophisticated because they deal with mature themes, A. And B, I would be understanding of the argument like, hey, tone is all dark if tone was dark across the board. Last I checked, I still play Overwatch. That game's tone isn't dark. Last I checked, Fortnite still exists. Like come on. There's lots of stuff. Even in this press conference, that trailer you were talking about, Concrete Jungle. Look at the tone in that thing. That's a cel-shaded little kid. There's tons of shit that's totally like lighter. It's okay for things to have a mature slant. That said, if you play as Ellie in this Last of Us sequel, I don't think I'm going to play it.
Wait, you play as Ellie in the fucking first one for part of it, and it's arguably the best scene in the game, or best sequence in the game.
I don't want to play. I don't want to play anyone from the first game. Period.
Okay. We also first of all don't know
that's a big thing. First and foremost, like the only way I think I'd be okay playing as Ellie is if it's like she's 25 or something. Like, and that's the thing that makes me wonder. We didn't really get any shots of the universe. Everything was dark as hell, and not just in tone. Like they were in the middle of night, and there was like one torch. Like it was basically in some junkyard or something. Like who knows, right? In the forest, and there was some religious stuff going on. Like it seemed like new religions had
they had like a weird cult going on.
Yeah, like it reminded me more of Tomb Raider and like Far Cry than it did of Last of Us. Like it had way different tones than like that. I think they might lean more in that direction. Like that's the thing. Like I felt like Last of Us, the original, totally felt like you're surviving in this ruined version of the world you know. This seems like it might be going, the world you know is gone. Now we're going to show you what the world has become.
Yeah.
And survive in that.
I think
which to me seems way more different. Yeah. I'm not saying that there isn't dark shit that happens in the original.
I don't know how to comment because I don't want to spoil anything. But like,
yeah, but you wouldn't be spoiling things like that doesn't really change my point. There are large chunks of the beginning of that game where you're running around lush environments that are very pretty.
Yeah,
like you're Boston. I could very much see this leaning way different than that. Like, hey, you have to run around at night because if you go around during the day, you're gonna get killed. Because there's a lot of crazies. Like it didn't just seem like zombies. It seems like there's not that that's all that was going on in the first game either. But I could easily see them not having cities. Like I could see them getting rid of like remember I haven't seen a lot of Walking Dead, but do you remember when they eventually discovered cities and then they started getting the cities were being run by like horrible people in the Walking Dead, and the horrible people were like doing horrible shit to survivors and stuff like that. Like I could see them leaning in that direction so that the only way to survive is to stay away from people. Like I could see this being way more of a lone, or you're in a small party. Like why else would those Asian peoples running around? Like I don't know.
I'm hesitant to comment because of just with what I know and what you don't. Like I don't want to say anything indicative in one direction.
I'm still a little bummed though. I don't know.
I'm also not sure if that was Ellie or not. That was just an impression I got.
That was Ellie.
I really hope that.
That was Ellie.
I also really hope that. I can't fucking say it. Never mind. I
hope you don't play as Ellie. That's what I hope. I hope those other two characters. I hope you play as one of them.
I hope you do because she was. The first Ellie sequence was probably like.
I know you play as Ellie in the DLC.
Yeah, no, not even just the DLC. You play as Ellie during
the game, during sequences during the game, yeah.
Well, one sequence.
I'm aware of that.
Well done.
Like my issue though, my issue is less I don't want to play as Ellie. My issue is more like the reason I say I don't want to play as Ellie isn't like, hey, she's a woman or anything like that. It's all just
I would have been much more hostile if I thought that was actually what your issue was.
It's just I didn't want there to be a Last of Us sequel. Like it's the same thing with like I'm going through Uncharted 4 right now. If they made an Uncharted 5 with Nathan Drake, I wouldn't play it.
Yeah,
I don't want to play as Nathan Drake anymore. Like I want a narrative disconnect. Like as far as I'm concerned,
was a very clean break with that series.
50 years later, and none of the characters you know are alive. I'm good with that. I really liked what I played the Last of Us. I'm gonna beat it, and I'm really enjoying the characters. I don't want to continue enjoying those characters in another game.
I just disagree think that because I find that
to me that shouldn't be the sequelitis type thing. Like it should be hard break. Like let's give. That's why I'm hoping that you play as one of those two new characters in the story.
So Uncharted was great for that because they really did that in the fourth one. They nailed you with the hard break and it was really well done, and that should be where it ends. Last of Us doesn't end like that. In my opinion, Last of Us.
I'm not talking about it's not, but I haven't beaten Uncharted 4 yet. But I'm not talking about endings. I'm just talking about playing as I'm talking about sequelitis. I've always viewed the Last of Us before it was announced as a game that didn't need a sequel. It didn't need anything else to it. It'd be like if there was a Rogue One sequel. Like no,
so they can't.
But that's the reason they did that, so that you can't do it. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have that. Let's stop milking the shit out of this because
it's two games, Ryan. That's not milking the shit out of it.
No, like I don't think you this happens so much that I don't think you understand. Like my perspective is, Joel and Ellie aren't sequel characters to me. I don't want to see them again. Seeing Ellie alone is enough to make me go, you better play as those other characters or I might not play you. Because I mean no offense, but it's just another open world zombie game. There's so many of those. And then even less you're going to make me play as a character I've already played as? So what's new?
Hey, well, you haven't fucking played as her yet. You haven't earned that right, motherfucker. You got to get back out of the game.
No, it has nothing to... Dude, I almost didn't play The Last of Us because it was another zombie game. Are you kidding me?
No,
there's like 7 million zombie games.
You missed what I said.
Like, Jesus Christ, zombies are so boring. Okay. Even ones that move fast. Get over zombies.
I do hate to cut us here, but I have to be at work in like 15 minutes, and I haven't showered yet. So we're going to call this cast. I might get in trouble with my job, Ryan, but we had to bring the content.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But yeah. Last of Us 2, don't get me wrong. Looks tonally cool. Love Naughty Dog to death, but I want to see who you play as.
Yeah.
That matters. And what year it is. Like, they need to reveal how long it's been. So
that's okay.
What was that, sorry?
I completely disagreed with almost everything that you said there, but that's okay.
You disagree with everything I said?
Well, about the sequel and everything? Absolutely. But that's okay. Because I don't have... I mean, it's either going to be a 3-hour discussion or a feels discussion. 1, I don't have time for. 2 would be fruitless. Anyway.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's okay.
We can disagree and agree to disagree. It's
that's what I said. Yeah, that was what I just said. Anyway.
Kyle's already ready for more Last of Us.
Yes.
I'm not. That's the bulk.
It's the first game that I played when I bought the PS4. Anyway.
I'm surprised that you're not a guy who's a little zombied out.
Well, I didn't do that much zombie stuff. Anyway.
Fair.
Thank you for joining us for controllers and keyboards. We'll do casts here and there as we
Paris Games show was okay.
Thanks for
trailers. It was a good time. That's it for us and the controllers and keyboards, as Kyle said.
Yeah.
He's presented to me, so I was like, oh shit, the spotlight's on.
Yeah. And it was off.
Game of show, Spelunky 2.
Maybe. See you guys next time.